Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It has been a minute. We accidentally stumbled into a holiday, I guess it was. So now that it's past, we hope you had a Merry Christmas, and we hope you had a wonderful New Year's celebration, and continue that on into many prosperous events in 2026. Bob, how's your time off? Did you enjoy yourself? Was Santa nice to you?
Yes, he was very nice, and yes, enjoyed the time off with the family and grandchild, and really enjoyed it. Yeah, yourself?
Yeah, very similar. Very similar. Ours around Christmas time was predominantly filled with the annual Christmas quiz, of which I am the quiz master, and I take great pride in putting together a decent quiz every year. It was a good laugh and a good time, and Santa was very nice to me, with this remarkable bobble hat. No, if people didn't take me any less seriously, now I can do this at them, just to to really hammer it home. But guys, let's get into this. We have, as I imagine, has everybody else noted that the rise of artificial intelligence is going to continue, right? And this isn't one of those, dog whistles, alarm bells, AI is terrible, but it's more about the thinking that underpins that. And as the technology continues to grow and develop, so too must our skills within the realm of human behavior and the information that's connected to it. Specifically for what we do here is behavioral assessments. Now, it hasn't had some dramatic revolution or like a silver bullet kind of model, no flashy acronym claiming to decode people in seconds. Instead, what we're seeing as we move into 2026 is something more subtle, you might argue, so more mature, a change in posture. The posture of the observer, the posture of the system, the posture of power. For decades, behavioral assessment has been driven by classification, by typologies, labels, diagnostic shortcuts. The implicit question has usually been, what kind of person is this? As if you could put a human being into a simple box. But this question is slowly losing its dominance thanks to some of these things that we're going to talk about. The emerging question that comes out of this should be more along the lines of, what's happening here? Why does it make sense, and what might help? Bob, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, this is a big subject for me. Something you have those eureka moments, and I had one just before Christmas when I read something online. So whether it's factual or not is another thing. But what it said is the prediction was that this year we may well see a song enter the charts or whatever they have these days that has been completely AI generated, from the lyrics through to the production through to the playing itself. And that got me thinking, yeah, that's great. And it shows a big advance that we can do this. And it may have its place. I'm sure some of the techniques will be incorporated into, or probably are already being incorporated into standard songs. But what it won't have, it got me thinking, is it wouldn't be able to have the complexity, and it wouldn't hit you so hard, I don't think, because you have an emotional connection with music. And can AI do that? I don't think it can. I don't think it's got heart. And that got me thinking that is where I want to position myself in the work that I do for this year, and looking at the alternatives to AI will be routine,
Mm,
and it will be by numbers.
mm.
And so what we do as human assessors of behavior has to be the opposite of that. So it's more about relationships than individuals, really.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. Love that. It's like a move from um categorical to contextual almost. And
Yeah.
we've hopped on about the the big C word and the context is king more than enough times, but it never goes away because it is so significant.
Yeah.
And the when you think about this production of music, you enjoy it, don't enjoy it, have your opinions on it. That's not the discussion that's here. It is the rise of categorizing human qualities,
Yeah.
and those things are. It should be an oxymoron, right? It should be an oxymoron, much like behavioral assessments of old, whether
Mm.
it's personality types or risk categories or diagnostic labels, threat levels, profiles that promise clarity by putting a person into a box. It's the misunderstanding of the box.
Yeah.
It might work well to label them as this specific situation. When this thing happens, you might see these kinds of things. But to say that this person has a high degree of openness, a high degree of extroversion, and a high degree of agreeableness across the board, or whatever MBT profile they are, or wherever they fall on disc, like it's just going to keep going. And
Yeah.
the categories themselves, they collapse under complexity. You
Mm.
know, I've had a similar conversation with musicians. I'm in a musical family, but we wouldn't qualify ourselves as musicians, but we know a lot by extension because of our being fans of music. And the question that I was asking some of these guys, and we were seeing it in return, is what is it about the AI songs that is enjoyable, regardless of what it is? What are you actually enjoying? Are you enjoying the complexity? Are you enjoying the interpretation of the songs more so than anything? There was a big kind of virality attachment to like soul and Motown covers of heavier rock songs, and most of the time it came down to, well, I'm just enjoying this different version. That's not specific to AI. People do
Yeah.
that, musicians do that all the time. If you look at those categories that do collapse under complexity, they strip away time, they strip away pressure, environment, role, stakes. They assume behavior is stable, portable, and internally generated. But it's not, is it? Really?
No. No. Uh, I mean, if you look at, say, dance music now, dance music, and they have the thing called where it builds up and then it drops.
Yeah.
That's the euphoric moment. Now, AI could not understand, I don't think yet, whether it ever will, what that euphoric moment and how you build up to it. It might be able to replicate that, but would it be able to make it euphoric? In a way that a DJ, when he's mixing it and looking at the crowd and judging them, can do it. I don't think so. And I think it's
Uh,
the same. I think it's the same when we're talking with people. You know, if you're scripted questions, they're only ever going to be scripted questions. You won't be able to respond in that moment to the nuances of what's happening in front of you. And that's what I think separates people who understand how behavior works and something which is generated, and that could be a human being working to a script or AI, can never do that.
yeah, yeah.
It's that
There was
aware.
I agree. I agree. And some of the research I read in prep for the TED Talk, Anjan Chatterjee from Pennsylvania University, he's involved in kind of reviewing the theory and the practice and the application of using AI therapists.
Mm.
And he was basically like, so these things, these LLMs, they're capable of replicating an idea, or picking up on the fact that because you've said happy, therefore this thing might be happy, and whatever pattern is connected to it through the language model itself. But it can't see the nuance. It can do nothing to generate the understanding that went into whatever idea it has, whatever idea you had that you've brought to the therapist in the first place. So what's changing is a recognition that behavior is not a fixed trait.
Mm.
And it's luckily for us, we've been saying this for years.
Yeah.
It's finally like, if we were of the position to go, "Ha, I told you so." um but it's the behavior in question is an adaptive response to the context, and that's something that AI can't do yet. Maybe as they continue searching for, I think they call it super intelligence or specific
Yeah.
intelligence. One of the two. I imagine they'll figure out something. But the one thing that I I have seen be misunderstood a lot is the quality of reasoning that humans have, and misrepresenting that in an algorithm or an AI service. Humans will reason and think about the specific
Mm.
interactions in a very different way from how an AI service will, because all an AI service is, this is a very thick, massive nutshell I'm about to put this in, but all it really is algorithmic processing for patterns.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's it. That's it.
And I can see that it will greatly enhance um, our capability to do things. It will, as it already has. Chat GPT and whatever is great. But what it can't do is it's got to be there, and it shouldn't take over functions that are quite human. It should be functions that are supporting humans rather than replicating them, or in some instances, doing away with humans. Automating machine and tasks like that, machine learn, putting cars together and that's fine, but it can't have a conversation. It can't understand the feelings that are not said, what's said. And I think that's a valid point I've just thought of. It can only go on what's said. It
Yeah.
cannot interpret the mood,
Mm.
the the all the other things that are going on when you are actually involved with someone in like a coaching role, a teaching role, an investigative interview, or even just a conversation.
I mean, if you think about when text messages are sent between humans, and
Mm.
somebody accidentally or purposefully puts caps lock on for the whole thing, and
Yeah,
it's misinterpreted as yelling, shouting,
yeah.
because the writing's bigger. These large language models don't even recognize that basic human interaction
Mm.
point. I saw increasingly now in some of the behavioral assessments that are being used as of late last year, start of this year, there are questions popping up like, what situation is this person responding to?
Yeah.
What constraints are they operating under? What incentives or threats or uncertainties might there be in this situation? What have most other people done under similar circumstances? Now, it's not to say that patterns don't exist, because they absolutely do. It
Mm.
just means that patterns are interpreted through context first, not kind of
Yeah.
imposed on top of it. So this raised voice, or in the text message version, that raised voice in isolation, it doesn't have to be aggression.
Yeah.
It can be elation, it can be shock, surprise, or avoidance isn't deception by default. Silence isn't guilt without understanding. If context stops us making adaptive behavior for character flaws. And
Mm.
what worries me, this is maybe the old man worrisome part, is that we are increasingly outsourcing the volume of thought we have to go through to get an assessment. Well, I can have the large language model process all of this in seconds. Okay, I'm sure it can process it all and do it very well in accordance with textbooks and whatever else has been written down, whatever information it has been given. But if there's something that you haven't found or haven't discovered or haven't paid attention to or haven't considered, then whatever the outcome is that it spits out is only going to be based on what it's been given. So you're walking wounded the whole time anyway, and it's this. It, I think of it like a drug addict. I'm sure there's several neurochemists involved as well. But if you think about the convenience, the ease of having a big problem, big workload, and it just being put
Yeah,
down. Convenience isn't always efficient. It isn't always correct. It's just quicker. It's just
yeah.
quicker.
I think also sometimes it isn't quicker. I mean,
Yeah.
we have automated facial readers, car readers. We have,
Mm.
but talk about facial readers. So you could get a piece of AI at a boulder, and you answer questions either verbally on or in writing, but it would still need the human afterwards, even if an anomaly is picked up in it, like the amount of time someone takes to answer a question. Maybe think, well, they're thinking too much about that, and they can pick that up, but it'd have to be flagged to a human to follow that through. And where we'd go wrong is if that was the screening process. If that was the screening process, and then they walk through, there's you can defeat that, just like people can defeat the what do they call it, the so-called lie detector, the polygraph.
Polygraph, yeah.
People can defeat that, and people will defeat machines.
Mm.
They'll learn because like you say, all they'll be looking for is patterns.
Yeah.
And where we differ is we look for patterns,
Mm.
but we understand that those patterns are fluid. And when you identify a pattern, that pattern may change. And then it's about thinking, which the machine may be able to do in the future, but I don't think can do now, is, well, why has that changed? What has happened?
Yeah.
Um, what is it? And it could be a verbal or it could be a non-verbal thing. And then you've got to go back and look at what you've said that prompted that change. And I don't think at this moment machines would be able to do that. And I don't know if
No.
they ever will be able to, do that sort of nuanced
Mm.
uh, interaction with another human.
No. No. It's. I mean, I don't think it will either. I think that the complexity of the way humans think.
Hmm.
How do you replicate that? I'm speaking from not working in that area as well. So there is a certain amount of ignorance towards the development of large language models. Fine, hold my hands up to that. But the reasoning elements that they go into will only be based on prompts that it's given. So even these services for helping you process whatever it is only as good as the information you feed it. So you
Yes.
can't check out and go, this is going to do it for me, because you have to feed it in there yourself in the first place. And that's what I've and purely a subjective experience. That's what I've seen that most people don't understand. The thing that cracks me up, if you look at some of these online tests, like, are you a psychopath? And I'm not talking about the legitimacy of the tests, right? But it's the knowledge of being able to fool the pattern within the computer based on things that you already know. And like
Yeah.
these questions will come up with things like, how would you feel if somebody kicked a puppy in front of you? Would it not bother you? Would it absolutely destroy your soul? And you're like, what do you think? You've already told me the frame for what it is in the first place, so I can feed it whatever information I want to generate the ideas. And then you kind of translate that out to how a therapist works as an AI. It can only deal with what it's been given, and if you're choosing to function through your bias in those situations, it can never pick up on it. It can never pick up on it. But what we're seeing as a result of all this coming out in behavioral assessment is moving away from seeing behavior as something that belongs solely to an individual,
Hmm.
right? People could argue that we only think this way because of our work. right? And that's closed down parts of our thinking about AI. I wouldn't agree with that argument, but they could make it. And that's because these situations, this behavior, this way of thinking, it's not purely down to us. It's purely down to the people, not purely down to, but it's down to the people that we've met, the interactions that we've had, the
Yeah,
courses that we've taken, the work that we've done, etc., etc. You know, that it's moving from their behavior being theirs, their reaction being theirs, the responsibility was entirely their fault. Behavior isn't produced by itself. Like, have you ever been sat alone doing nothing and then just, I can't believe it? Outside of some mental illnesses or serious situations, I would doubt it. I would doubt it. It emerges between people, not just
yeah,
not just within them.
yeah,
You know.
yeah. I totally agree. I was I gave a talk before Christmas, and I talked about, that human behavior is so unpredictable. I mean, have you ever had that occasion where you've argued with an innate object? And I certainly have.
Yeah.
Um, and how can you quantify that? What is that person doing? He's with me. It was an omelette maker, an automated omelette maker that just couldn't do what I wanted it to do. And it was probably operator
Yeah.
error, but we never blame ourselves, so he blamed the machine.
Of course, of course.
But I want to make it clear that I'm not anti-AI. I think I've come to see over the last year the great advantages getting a new co-pilot PC and the things that it can do, the shortcuts that it can help me achieve, and are immense. But it's only what I ask it to do, and I'm asking it to do the things that I don't want to do. I'm not asking it to be me, and I think that is where it should be. It should be there by my side to help me, not taking the place of me. That's just my opinion.
I mean, I'm on that side. I'm on that side, and that's that's why I have a duality in my concern, because it's
Mm,
on paper it's a good thing, but we were talking about this in the community that I have, and we'll go through like some think tank kind of
mm,
exercises, or critical thinking games, and we throw problems like, okay, you've got a magic wand. How do you solve world hunger? Or you've got a magic wand. How do you solve the seven deadly sins? Those types of questions, just food for thought on the thinking. And the one that came up was, you've got a magic wand. How do you solve the problems with AI? And
mm,
the main problems and it's only as part of the group that we were in, the main problems that we found were the encouragement of laziness, right? It's just doing that, and all of the adjacent things that come out of giving your thinking to something else to do it for you, and the kind of relational properties that are developed from that. There was a good point that Simon Sinek made on the Diary of a CEO podcast. I don't like the podcast. I like Simon Sinek, mostly because it platforms pseudoscience. And the point that Simon was making is, if you're having an argument with your wife, husband, significant other, whatever it is, you don't really understand what to do. So you go and ask ChatGPT, and it gives you this answer.
mm.
And you go back and you do it, and your partner says, "Well, that was wonderful. How did you come up with that?" Well, AI suggested it. Has that helped or hindered? Like, if
No.
we get so far, do we want political leaders making decisions based on whatever Gemini or Claude says? You think about it, and most people go, "God, no! We want some responsibility." So Why don't you do that for yourselves? So the outcome that we found that would work, again on paper, and it might just be just because the group was maybe an echo chamber of sorts, but it was
Mm,
food for thought and fun. If we age restrict AI, at 25, we came, in terms of the research, you've developed ways of working. You know a little bit more about who you are and
yeah.
the specificity of your thought. and it shouldn't be generally, it will do everything for you. It should be specific in one function. So like there's an AI tool that will help you with your work on learning psychological technique. Not right the way across the board. So that way you get to still take ownership of the experience that you want to have with it.
Yeah,
Right?
sounds good.
Yeah. Uh, just because the main problem of how it affects is the illusion of ease.
Yeah,
It's like I wouldn't want AI to watch a film for me and then tell me whether I enjoyed it or not.
yeah,
And people go, that's ridiculous. Okay, fine as a concept, but that's what you're doing with topics. That's what you're doing with personal opinions and views and interactions and songs. There is no, as of yet, there is no replacement for human beings, and it kind of baffles me as to why people would want to do that in the first place.
yeah.
It seems
Unless
silly.
you're looking for that thing that all humans want to do. It's like you say, we're lazy by
Mm,
nature. The human being,
mm,
the race is lazy, and it saves time, and that's what people are always looking for.
mm.
But then, when you speak to that sort of person, well, what are you saving time for? They won't know. It's just easy, and it gives them more time to do nothing, I suppose.
But yeah, critical thinking's taking a big hit. Just so a few guys can make a few quid.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
it, it's
exactly
it's
right.
it's a baffling experience. So I would say, in terms of my final thoughts before we go on to yours, the things that are across both topics that we can take away from the experience is to be testing your hypotheses before you assert any conclusions, to lead with curiosity instead of certainty. And I mean, it won't sit easily with everyone, but allowing people to correct your assumptions. If it is that you hold a belief that can't be challenged, that's a belief that just provides you comfort in some way. It's a confirmation bias. If it can be challenged, then you're more concerned with the specificity of the information and its truth. It's the definition of twisting facts to suit a theory instead of theories to suit facts. Treat your subjects as a data source, not some objects of analysis. They don't just give you information and then it stops. Right? Collaboration with all things, people, objects, locations, actions, reasoning, collaboration with all things will improve your accuracy over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
What about your final thoughts, sir?
Well, my final thoughts are going to be a bit mercenary, really. Is that
Do it.
if if you want to be more human than Chat GPT, and you want to know and understand how humans work and how they do what they do, then reach out to myself or Ben, because we would quite happily run a
Yeah.
program to show you how to be the best version of yourself without that.
All day, every day. And on that wonderful note, if it is that you haven't subscribed to the podcast already, now is the perfect time to do it. This isn't an artificial intelligence prompt. This is a prompt coming from a human being, made explicitly in more detail by the fact that I don't think an AI would cloak me in this particular. But I'm enjoying it. I think it's fancy. So with that in mind, guys, we'll love you and leave you, and we'll see you next week as we go for business as usual. All right, guys, take it easy.
Bye.